we're out here. This is the field where the magic happens.
Benning Bites with Damon Benning. Benning Bites with Damon Benning.
Welcoming you back to another episode of Benning Bites, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy Sports. You've heard me talk about it. I love doing it. It's competitive sports fantasy, a little higher, lower. They've got you covered with all the sports, from basketball to hockey to the NBA to the NFL to college, and it's in my wheelhouse. It's competitive, it's fun, and it's daily fantasy. Just go and enter my promo code Benning, that is BENNING, and be a part of the fun of Underdog Fantasy Sports. A fantastic show today with my main man, Ravi. It was good to be back in the saddle. Appreciate you listening, however you get us. AM 590. What else do we have? We have ESPN Tri-Cities. We are Twitch. We are Facebook. We are YouTube. We're all over the place, just trying to be everything we can for you. Pretty exciting week coming up with Nebraska heading to Iowa City on Black Friday. I think that this is one of those games where there's a couple things at play here. Number one, you're getting a football team in Iowa that will be welcoming you with a ton of hostility. I think kind of that Gen Z crowd in Iowa City is a little surly, kind of based on how this season has unfolded for Iowa. It would be nice to be one of those teams and those fan bases where you're not happy sitting where you are at 7-4 currently, but that's just kind of been the expectation in Iowa. That it's a good football team that had high expectations this year, and that comes with the territory. And Nebraska will have to be very leery of that. You could have your 24 hours of celebrating getting to 6 and getting the bowl game monkey off your back. And listen, I'm not one of those guys that downplays that. In one vein, when Nebraska is kind of the answer to trivia questions and the butt of jokes of Power 4 schools that haven't been to a bowl game and having losing records, and just having that kind of be the talk of this program. I mean, you even heard Coach Holgorsen reference it when he first got here. He's like, it's kind of remarkable that a program like this hasn't been to a bowl game. So if it gets that kind of view and vantage point to its failures, it's only fitting that I think when it happens to the good that you allow yourself to enjoy that moment of getting over that hump, kind of that mental hurdle, but then getting back to business. And I think that's what this football team will do. The next phase for them is understanding how to prepare, having a modicum of success, and making that portable to move on to the next week. Because, again, this team that they're going to play on Friday night will be ready, willing, and more than able. And we'll see where Nebraska is emotionally. I'm excited. I think the offense, you're probably not going to replicate the statistical point outage that you had against Wisconsin. You're not going to go 7 of 7 in the red zone and score 41 points in the red zone. But I do think they feel like there's room for growth from week to week. Now, we saw marked growth from week 1 to week 2 with Coach Holgorsen. Can we see more progress from week 1 into week 3? Now, it is a short week, but if there is a backhanded advantage to the consistency and the greatness known as Coach Parker, Iowa's defensive coordinator, it is that I do think you kind of know what you're going to get. There's a certain way that Iowa wants to play. You know that they're going to press you once you get to the 20. That's typically when they do the majority of their pressure packages. Some of the coverages, that they like to play situationally due to formation. So there is some familiarity there. We'll just see if it breeds contempt or not. It should be a fantastic matchup. And how will Nebraska travel? They've had they'll get a little bit of downtime between Wednesday afternoon and Thursday morning. The flight will leave a little bit later on Thursday. So it's a smidge of a schedule shift, but nothing that you don't anticipate heading into the holidays. They understand the task at hand, and it's to play the best game possible once they get to Iowa City. Just a few things to think about as they head into this one. It should be nothing short of physical at the end of the day. And there's two keys, in my opinion. Well, actually, three. Nebraska is now to the point with the way that their special teams is trending where it's okay to talk about can they actually win the special teams battle against Iowa and not feel foolish, right? Because that Iowa's kind of been the benchmark, but Nebraska is trending in the right direction. So can you continue the upward trend in special teams and out special team a football team that's they're the gold standard? That's going to be critical. Obviously, in a game with weather like this, where field position will matter, can you continue to be good? Then two other things. The intermediate passing game, it's now opened back up for Nebraska. It doesn't just have to be shot plays. You're getting some mesh concepts, some crossing routes. Can you play catch in front of this Iowa secondary if there's some soft spots in those zones where you can kind of settle it down? And then the third thing is, will Nebraska's ground game continue to evolve? We've seen it get a little bit better each week under Coach Holgorsen, and this is by far the stiffest test, but can they keep trending in that direction? Three things to keep an eye on. It's another episode of Benning Bites.